I hike a lot. Enough to know when something's off, even if I can't explain it. And that day, something was. It was me, Hannah, and Dylan, early April, Glacier National Park. Still patches of snow along the trails, air sharp enough to bite. We were doing a 3-day loop, nothing extreme. Just off-grid enough to feel like we'd earned the silence. But on the second day, we found the camp. It wasn't marked on the trail map. Just a small spur path, barely visible between the trees. No boot prints leading in. No marker ribbon. But something about it felt used. We followed it maybe 30 yards. And there it was. A full camp setup. Tent. Sleeping bag. Fire pit. Half a tarp strung between 2 pines. But no people. No food. And no trash. Just a neat, clean site that looked like someone had stepped away 10 minutes ago. That's what got me. The fire. It wasn't blazing, but the coals were red. Flickering. Still warm. And there were signs someone had been sitting here recently. Compressed leaves. A half-burned piece of paper in the fire pit, unreadable but not yet black. Dylan reached toward it, then froze. I asked what was wrong. He pointed to the sleeping bag. Unzipped. Empty. But it's still warm, he said. No gear tags. No ID. No tracks. No footprints at all, except ours. And then Hannah whispered. Guys, there's only 3 sets of tracks leading in. We stood still. Listened. Nothing. Just birds. Wind. And that faint, impossible warmth coming off a fire that shouldn't still be alive. We didn't speak much after that. The kind of quiet where everyone's brain is going 100 miles an hour but no one wants to be the one to say the wrong thing. The moment you name it, this is strange, this is wrong, you give it weight. You make it real. But I couldn't let it go. I crouched near the tent, not touching anything yet, just observing. It wasn't old. It wasn't faded. No mold, no wear. The zipper was smooth, new. Not the kind of gear you leave behind. Not unless something happens too fast to pack it up. Inside the tent was a foam mat, rolled clothing in a dry bag, a water bottle half full, and a notebook. I didn't touch it right away. Dylan stood behind me, arms crossed tight. Don't, he said. Not loudly. Not commandingly. Just asking. Like someone who already knew what was coming if I did. I opened it anyway. The pages were damp at the edges, but not ruined. Ballpoint pen. Small, sharp handwriting. Journal entries. Only a few. Mostly weather notes, trail coordinates. But the last one. The fire doesn't go out. I've tried. My stomach twisted. I flipped back a page. It was blank. 2 before that. Same. Like whoever wrote this had stopped recording things for days, until this. Hannah was behind me now. She whispered. Someone's watching us. I looked up. Nothing in the trees. But I felt it too. That pressure, like a lens being focused just a little too tightly. The kind of silence that comes after a branch snaps. I zipped the tent closed. Gently. And then we heard it. From somewhere behind the tree line. A voice. Low. 2 words. Not shouted. Still warm. We didn't wait. We backed away, slow at first, then faster, until the trees swallowed the sight behind us. When we looked back again, the smoke was gone. Like it had never been there. We rushed back to the trail, breath fogging in the cold, adrenaline making every step louder than it should have been. Once we reached the main path again, no one said a word. We just turned toward the direction we came from, back the way we'd hiked in the day before. Except there were no tracks. Ours were gone. The same snow we had crunched through just hours earlier now lay pristine. Untouched. Smooth as a white sheet pulled over something dead. I looked at Dylan. His face was pale, his mouth slightly open like he wanted to say something but couldn't. "We just came through here," I muttered, mostly to myself. Hannah walked in a circle, her boots leaving new marks in the snow. She looked back at the spot where the spur trail had been. It wasn't there. No side path. No broken branches. No indent in the snow. Just more trees. More forest. Like that camp had never existed. We followed the main trail anyway, guessing by the slope and the bend where we should have been. But the trees didn't match. The fallen logs weren't there. The sun was in the wrong place, still too low for the time we'd spent walking. And the air. It felt heavier. I checked my compass. It spun for a moment, then settled, wrong. It pointed backward. Toward the way we came. The way we thought we came. That's when Dylan stopped. He was looking at something in the snow. A single boot print. Not ours. Not even human. Longer. Narrow. No tread. And beside it, a drag mark. Something being pulled. I asked, "Do we go back to camp?" But Hannah was already shaking her head. "No," she whispered. "It's not there either." "How do you know?" And she looked at me like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Because the fire's not supposed to go out." It took us over an hour to find our way back. At least, we thought it was an hour. The sun hadn't moved. Dylan checked his watch twice. The second time, he took it off and shoved it in his pack like it had insulted him. We didn't talk much. Just walked. Trees blurred together. The trail widened, narrowed, split, merged. At one point, I swore we passed the same dead tree 3 times. Hollow trunk. Split down the center. Burn mark at the base like lightning had kissed it once and moved on. Finally, we broke through into a clearing. And there was our camp. Right where we left it. Tent, packs, bare canister, untouched. I almost laughed. Relief poured in like warm water. Until we saw the fire. It was burning. Not embers. Not a smolder. Burning. A clean, controlled flame in our pit. Perfect pyramid of wood, stacked just how I do it. Not even flickering wrong. But none of us had lit it. We were hours away when we found the other site. There was no one else here. No other hikers for miles. Hannah stepped forward, then stopped cold. "Look." In the dirt near the fire, bare footprints. Not boot prints. Not bare like shoeless. Bare like, flat. Smooth. Clean. Too long. Toes not right. They circled the fire once. Then vanished into the trees behind the tent. Dylan walked around the fire pit, keeping distance. He stopped on the far side. There was a new log. One none of us had dragged there. And sitting on it. A journal. Different from the first. Bound in black. Dry. He didn't touch it. Just leaned in. The first line was written across the center page. "This fire doesn't belong to you." That night, no one slept. We didn't say it out loud, but none of us wanted to be the first to close their eyes. We sat around the fire, our fire now, or at least the one we couldn't put out. We tried. Twice. Even smothered it with dirt. Came back 10 minutes later, burning again. Hannah wouldn't go near it after that. She sat with her back to the trees, watching the shadows move across the clearing. Dylan stood, pacing tight circles, arms crossed, muttering the same 3 words like a prayer. Didn't make sense. Over and over. I stayed still. Trying to listen. Trying to catch whatever was in the silences between our thoughts. And that's when I heard it. Not far. Left side of the clearing. Between the trees. A soft knock. Not wood on wood. Not an animal. Knuckle on bark. 3 slow taps. We froze. Then another knock. Farther right. Closer. Then another. Behind us. Whatever it was circling. Slow. Deliberate. But not hiding. Like it wanted us to track it. Like it was drawing a boundary. Then the light shifted. The fire flickered, not out, but harder. Like wind had pushed through it. But there was no wind. Then. Just beyond the trees. A light. Small. Pale. Like a phone screen, or maybe a headlamp on low. It bobbed once, twice, then held steady. We thought it might be a ranger. Another hiker. Someone real. Dylan raised a hand, started toward it. That's when Hannah grabbed his arm. Hard. No, she whispered. Look closer. We squinted. The light didn't move. But something behind it did. A shape. Wrong proportions. Too tall. Arms too long. No detail. Just the outline. Like it was holding the light for us to see. Then the knocking stopped. And the fire flared. High. Hot. And stayed that way all night. We left before the sun rose. Didn't pack the tent. Didn't bother with breakfast. Left everything behind but our boots, headlamps, and whatever we could shove in our coats. We didn't talk about it, we just moved. The forest looked wrong in that gray hour before dawn. Familiar, but stretched. Like someone had copied it from memory and missed the fine details. Trees that should have forked straight were bent. Roots we'd stepped over yesterday were gone. No birds. No frost either, though it had been freezing the night before. The air felt humid. Like breath. We walked fast, following the trail downhill, keeping west. Dylan kept muttering numbers under his breath. Hannah walked in front, holding the compass like a lifeline. I stayed in the back, watching for anything. At some point, I noticed something. The trail forked ahead. Again. Same angle. Same rise in the slope. Same twisted pine to the left. A fork that wasn't supposed to be here. We took the left. 10 minutes later, it forked again. Same shape. Same tree. We were moving. But the trail wasn't. Hannah stopped. Dylan nearly ran into her. She held up the compass. It was spinning. Slowly. Smoothly. A lazy, silent circle. Then we smelled smoke. Not wood smoke. Plastic. Rubber. Something chemical. We turned the next bend in the trail, and there it was. Our camp. Tent. Bare camp. The fire. Still burning. We hadn't looped. We hadn't gone backward. But the camp was ahead of us. And someone was sitting by the fire. Not standing. Not moving. Just waiting. We didn't move for a long time. The figure by the fire was completely still. Legs crossed. Hands on knees. Head tilted slightly toward the flames, like it was listening to them. I whispered, "Who is that?" No one answered. Then Hannah said, "Don't look at its face." But I was already moving. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me needed to see it. To prove we weren't losing it. that this was a person. A real, flesh and blood hiker like us, who just happened to be. No. The closer I got, the colder I felt. The fire didn't radiate warmth anymore. It sucked it in. And the figure. It was wearing my jacket. Same tear on the left elbow. Same brand. Same faded trail patch I sewed on after Ruby Creek. It looked up. And I saw my own face. Not just similar. Identical. But it didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Just smiled. Slow. Too slow. Like it had only just remembered how. Behind me, I heard Hannah whispering something, over and over, fast, like she was trying to keep time from collapsing. Dylan had dropped to one knee, hand clenched around his lighter, not flicking it, just gripping like a weapon. I took one more step. And the thing that looked like me stood up. Same height. Same boots. Same posture. And then, it opened its mouth. But instead of words, I heard a voice behind me. My voice. That's not me. I spun. No one was there. And when I turned back, the figure by the fire was gone. We made it out. At least. I think we did. The trail eventually changed. Real trees. Real turns. A ridge I remembered from the map. Then the gravel parking lot, half buried in snowmelt, and our cars waiting like we'd just stepped out for snacks. Dylan didn't say a word. He just drove. Hannah sat in the back seat of my car the whole ride home, arms wrapped around her knees, eyes on the mirror. Not the road. Not me. The mirror. I dropped her off first. Then I went home. My apartment felt off. Not wrong. Just, off. Nothing out of place. Keys in the dish. Shoes lined up. Coffee pot half full, exactly how I'd left it. But when I walked into the living room, I stopped cold. Because there was a fire on the TV screen. A fireplace video. The kind people put on for background noise. Except, I don't own a smart TV. And I never left it on. I turned it off. It turned back on 5 minutes later. Different fire this time. Same sound. I unplugged the whole unit. And when I came back from the kitchen, the journal was on the coffee table. Not mine. The one from the camp. Black. Clean. Dry. I opened it. The page said, "The fire doesn't go out. It just moves." And then I heard it. A crackle. A soft pop. From behind me. I turned toward the hallway. And saw orange light flickering beneath the bathroom door.